In this video, I'll be sharing with you a tutorial on how to cut this asymmetric neckline basque bustier. So this is my pattern and I'll be cutting this in a miniature form. Here is my shoulder to bust, under bust, waistline, and then add 7 inches after your waistline. I'm going to mark the shoulder measurement divided by 2. Now this is not an actual shoulder, I'm using this for the shoulder measurement. Come down by 1 inch there, then connect all the way up. The next step is to find your chest line, which is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. Whatever you have, mark and draw out a straight line. Now place your tape and mark your shoulder measurement divided by 2. Place your ruler again and connect. Now go ahead to divide what you have at the armhole area into 2. Come out by ½ inch and here mark your bust round circumference divided by 4. Place the ruler, connect from that point all the way up and connect from that point to the bust round circumference divided by 4. The next step is to go ahead to mark your dart. Now measure your nipple to nipple divided by 2 and go ahead to mark this all the way from the upper part of your pattern to the lower part. Now after marking this, go ahead to place your ruler and you're going to connect all the way to the upper part. Now for your dart intake, from the midpoint of your armhole, connect first. The dart intake, mark ½ inch, right? So if you're not on the plus size, mark ½ inch. If you're on the plus size or busty, mark 1 inch here, right? Now I'll mark 1.5 inches. If you're on the busty side or you're on the plus size, mark 2 inches here and connect. I'll also do that for this other side. Now I'm just going to place my curve drew, connect from the bust to the under bust of my pattern, and I'm also going to repeat this at the other side of my pattern also. Now after I'm done connecting, I'll outline. So now I'll mark ½ inch on this side and ½ inch on the other side and I'll blend it out. Now this ½ inch on both sides, I'm going to extend it all the way outwards towards the side of my pattern at the armhole, right? This ½ inch on both sides, you go ahead to extend it at the lower armhole and reconnect to your bust circumference or your armhole curve. Now mark your bust round circumference divided by 4. Measure that dart intake and replace. Go ahead to add your sewing allowance. Mark your under bust circumference divided by 4. Measure the dart intake, replace and add your sewing allowance. Mark your waist circumference divided by 4. Measure the dart intake, replace and add your sewing allowance. Mark your hip circumference divided by 4. Measure the dart intake, replace and add your sewing allowance. I'll go ahead to place my ruler, connect all the way up to the lower part of my pattern. Now after I'm done connecting to the blouse length, I'll go ahead to outline my pattern. So for the next step, I'll go ahead to blend in my dart. Now from this armhole, you'll be connecting up. Now place your tape and mark where you want the asymmetric neckline to be and connect it back towards the armhole, right? Go ahead to take your measurement and take your measurement where you want it to be, connect to the armhole of your pattern. Now I'm just going to insert a little dart here in case you cut yours and it's gaping. Now you're going to add like a 0.25 inches on both sides of your pattern, which you'll blend out. But if yours is not gaping, go ahead to just cut it out that way. Now this is what you'll be having, and the next step is come down by 3.5 inches from my waistline, right? And I'm going to connect this all the way to the lower part of this basque. Blend in your dart before doing this. So after that, I'll just go ahead to mark my bust dart. To get your bust dart is the difference between your shoulder to waist in front and that of your shoulder to waist at the back, and I'll blend out. Now after blending out, I'll go ahead to cut out my pattern. Now if you have any question, please kindly go ahead to leave it at the comment section. Now after cutting this, we'll go ahead to cut out the back pattern, blend in your darts while cutting this out. Now when I'm cutting the back pattern, I'll be cutting it in a dartless pattern. So for the back pattern, I've gone ahead to mark out all my measurements, my shoulder to bust, waist and blouse length. Remember, your shoulder to waist at the back is shorter. And I also marked my shoulder measurement, and I got my chest line just like we did for the front. Mark my bust circumference divided by 4, add a sewing allowance. Mark your waist circumference divided by 4, add your sewing allowance. Here, mark your hip circumference divided by 4, also add your sewing allowance. So now I'll just go ahead to place my ruler, and I'm going to connect all the way from the upper part towards the waistline, towards the blouse length. So measure that same 3.5 inches from here, and then go ahead to connect it for the back. Now after marking this, the next step you take is to outline your pattern. The chest line, I'll come down by ½ inch and connect, because I don't want the lacing area to be gaping. Now after marking that, go ahead to decide the lacing space you want to use at the back and mark. So after marking that, I'll just go ahead to draw out a straight line at this point to indicate that I have a lacing. Now I'll just go ahead to cut out my pattern, and at this point, if you have any question, please kindly go ahead to leave your question at the comment section. And if you haven't yet subscribed, please hit on the subscribe button.